Well, we know we have to wait for Mr. Hunt to take a seat.
Mr. Mayor.
Howdy-ho. Well, let's call this meeting to order. Is your Village Council regular session. Today's Monday, February 2nd, 2026. If you join me in Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll take a quick moment of silence. If you would do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Fields.
Here.
Trustee Reister.
Here.
Trustee Cox.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes, here.
Trustee Kissinger. President Pro Tem Keller.
Here.
President Frisbee.
Here. We have an agenda in front of us. Mr. Malley, was there any changes or additions?
Yeah, we're just going to add the Perceptive approval for the manager to enter in continuation of the contract with Perceptive. It's the same amount of money, and just moving forward. It's
10G.
Move as amended. Support.
We have motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have an agenda in front of us tonight. We have a scheduled appearance tonight, and I'll let Mr. Malley introduce.
Yeah, very fortunate, and everyone knows the weather out there, so with technology, and we felt the council was comfortable with it, asked Rob and his team and Elise to remote in. We'd set up the Zoom link, and the image shop we've engaged with the image shop, reference branding and spill over to website and other additional services with the Village of Vicksburg on an ongoing 3-year relationship. When we entered into that agreement as part of the 25-26 fiscal year, Rob and I had communicated early on due to the many clients he has in his company, and with what we had going on in the village, it would be best to we had our initial kickoff meeting, I think it was in August, and then subsequent to that, we've had multiple internal meetings with Rob and his team on this topic as we move forward. We did provide the council with some branding information. We are looking to have Rob and Elise talk a little bit about branding from a high altitude level, a little bit about the process and where we are, and also facilitate a conversation with council. It is our goal and expectation that we will take tonight's information along with other input that we've had throughout the process with the executive leadership team of the village, that on the 23rd, we will present for approval the branding logo and tagline and move on from there. But that'll be the next action item would occur on February 23rd. With that as well, I've really been fortunate this past year at the outside resources that the village has engaged in. Both we just came out of a Parks and Rec Master Plan Comprehensive Update, and Mike leading that effort. Hoffmeister has been tremendous. In fact, we communicated throughout the weekend on enhancing that. But also parallel to that is Rob McCarty and his team. Rob is detailed oriented, as is the team, but it's in a very relaxed style that I've appreciated and kept us on task. So with that, Rob, I will turn it over to you to introduce who you've brought, even though I and the team know Elise, but it's your show now. Yeah. But you're going to have to unmute.
Oh, you're muted, Rob.
It wouldn't be Zoom without that happening once, would it? Here we go.
Can everybody hear me okay now?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. And thank you again for having us back tonight. Really appreciate the opportunity, as always, to work with the village, and excited to talk through this. Really what we want to do tonight is walk through the presentation deck that we put together. As Jim said, we met several times between Jim, some team members, and ourselves. We also took community feedback, and so we've incorporated all of this into the output. And what I'd really like to do tonight is go through, not myself, but have Elise go through the process. She is our creative director. She leads design endeavors, and so she's put the time in with her team for these outputs. One thing I'll say that, you know, you work on projects like this, there's lots of implications. And so, you know, we take your feedback tonight very seriously. You know, it's important to us, and we want to be good stewards to the village and to the citizens of Vicksburg. And we want to make sure we do you guys right. So, with that said, last thing I'll say is just think of this process, and also where we're at right now. What we're trying to achieve is something that conveys the village, and also in the world that we live in, something that conveys it, that can be used in many ways. And so I'm going to let Elise go through the presentation, and you'll start to see that evolve as we go through it. And then when we're done, we can take questions, answer questions, however you guys like to proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Jim or Christian or whoever is running the Zoom, can you all allow me to screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Oh. All right, so I'm Elise. Thank you for having us here. So I'm going to walk us through this deck presentation that Rob just mentioned. I will tell you all, I talk fast. I'm a bit of a hand talker. I will try to pause. If for some reason someone needs to stop me, just give me a shout because I can't hear you all super well. But like Rob mentioned, our goal here is just to explain a little bit about our process, talk a little bit about where we're at with everything, just kind of give a little bit of a deeper explanation. I know that the slides that I'm going to have up here have some copy on them. I will talk through all of that, so if this screen is not very large, don't worry, you don't need to read it in a lot of detail. But ultimately, like Rob mentioned, this is, you know, just the parts and pieces as we start to really build out what this brand update looks like for the future of Vicksburg. So we obviously know that Vicksburg's a village with a strong sense of pride and community, and we know that the visual identity currently no longer reflects that reality. So like Rob mentioned, there's a couple of very top level goals we knew we wanted to accomplish. So first and foremost, of course, we needed to update the identity. We knew that we wanted something that was a slightly more modern solution, but ultimately, more than that, we also knew that it needed to be versatile. It needed to function. You know, the big end product out of all of this, in addition to the logo, is the new website design. And the reality is the majority of users are now looking at websites on mobile, for example. So we also know that there's just a lot of things in 2026 and beyond that are going to start to really become a factor in how we think of brands that really function and work for the organizations we're building them for. So of course, we knew that the brand, we wanted it to feel unified, welcoming, vibrant, recognizable, and that strong growth and foundation for the village that cares for its residents and its visitors alike. And the logo and this new tagline that we're working on right now, they really the anchor for that. But ultimately, they have to work together in this system that really functions and allows you all to continue this great work moving forward. Just a couple of things, the beginning parts of this is just some background foundational work that we do with every brand. So you all did a lot of awesome work prior to us coming in where you identified your mission, your vision, some identity points. This looks like this brand snapshot components, because ultimately one of our deliverables at the end of the day is to take all of that, your mission, your vision, your identity, your foundational brand pillars, which we have here on the right-hand side, which were determined from the discussions that we've had with everybody, as well as that community survey, which I know Rob went over with you all in a previous meeting. But those pillars of safe and welcoming community, community spirit and pride, historic yet vibrant downtown, charm and small town feel, and events and activity as energy. So we think of the brand really being, you know, what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's kind of my little go-to phrase. And so the logo is like one visual part of that, but really ultimately it's everything else that works with it. And if we've done our job right here, these foundational brand pillars will be very apparent in your website and in all of those materials we give you at the end. I have just some photography slides in here. We had a discussion with Jim in one of our previous meetings about just like photography styles. So ultimately that's something that we will really identify and use for the website. So a lot of this stuff is in here because we're simultaneously working on some of that website design, the back end work there and making sure we're gathering assets. So we're doing these things kind of simultaneously. So some of this also you can recognize some key things, how colorful everything is, how vibrant, and understanding really a good feel for what it feels like to be either a visitor or a resident in this community. So that takes us to our tagline. So we presented a few different options that all kind of had varying themes here, and this was the one that we would recommend the most, and that came out of our conversations with Jim, which is Deep Roots, Bright Horizons. So this would be replacing the current village tagline of Village with a Vision. So I'm just going to go ahead and read our explanation behind here. This tagline, Deep Roots, Bright Horizons, reflects the core of Vicksburg's identity and future vision. So Deep Roots really honoring the village's authenticity, the history, and the strong sense of continuity, values that shape its character and community pride. Right? So we talked a lot in our conversations of where we take these brands, both in its written updates, like the like the tagline and some of the content that we're doing for the website, and also in its visual identity, and how do you really balance like honoring the past while also setting everything up for the future. So that's where the deep roots part comes in. Bright Horizons really speaks to the optimism, the growth, and the thoughtful progress, signaling a village that's investing in its future while remaining true to what makes it special. So it's really that balance together that makes this work so well. Together, the phrase captures Vicksburg as a place where tradition and forward-looking leadership coexist, creating opportunity and a strong sense of belonging for generations to come. So you'll also notice that some of the logo concepts that we're working on have some visual cues that really tie into the tagline, and that allows that the content that you're reading or you're speaking ties into the visuals that you're seeing as well. So that takes us to some of these logo concepts and brand updates. So I already mentioned those top level goals of versatility, recognizability, and then also moving things into the future with this kind of modern edge and being able to use this really well. So, you know, logos, I sort of joke, are, they have to do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? You see them every day, they're on everything. And they start to, once you really recognize them, fade a little bit into the background. And that's not to say that they aren't the most important, like, wow feature of things, but really they're that backbone that everything kind of rides on. So we're really focused on a flexible system that will really work for future applications, and then also determining a look and feel that allows us to apply that to future iconography. So what does it look like when we build out new icons for the website, or potentially use those same things to create new signage or other elements, graphics that you all might use on social media. There's a lot that we think about putting into that. Same thing with color systems, which I have in here as well. Oh, I forgot about this slide. So just really quick, this is this was some of our research that we had done in here that we discussed with Jim in some of our meetings. And my fun experiment for this is you'll notice a lot of these logos are either cities or other municipalities, like in particularly in Southwest Michigan. And you'll notice some of them maybe look a little bit dated. They don't necessarily function super well. And so my fun test is, as I shrink them like this, you can see very quickly which ones start to like fall apart, right? So again, we're really trying to balance how important it is that this logo solution be something that works at large sizes, small sizes, and puts us into that digital space that we need to be long term. Okay, so color, there's quite a few slides around color, and really this is just also giving you all a little bit of a background to see like the work that we're doing in the color space and the intentionality behind it. So we knew that the Vicksburg green, which is this far left one here, was something that is in your current brand. And while I know when we had our meetings and we say like, let's totally redo everything, like we're open, we want all of it changed, we also understand that like some things just maybe need to remain for a couple of reasons. One, it's sort of important to not jar our citizens and other people into like a completely new, okay, everything's different from what you already knew. And there's some practicality behind keeping some of this. Like I know that there is paint colors out there that exist that we don't need to, prolong swapping everything over through your new brand. So figuring out if we wanted to work within the constraints of the Vicksburg green and seeing how that applied out was just a challenge for us and a constraint we wanted to stick to. So you'll see here, this Vicksburg green was our #1 kind of primary. We did create a dark green that goes with it, and then we from there built out a palette that really worked together nicely. Really good for accessibility reasons on your website, and also allow us to start to tie in some things in terms of the different parts of the village and some of that background work that you're going to have to do moving forward. So we knew we wanted to pair it with some bright colors that really brought in that idea of reflecting downtown life, events, community spirit, and pair that with what we already had. So this does what I just said in a lot more detail, and I don't need to go through all of this. But you can start to see what brand pillars each color kind of ties to, and then how we're going to use it in some of our practicality like purposes. So, website backgrounds, and then as we build this out, starting to think about how color, in addition to other things like typeface usages, iconography, etc., can really build this brand beyond just that one logo mark. Okay, so that gets us to the 2 logo options that we've narrowed this down to. So both of these solutions follow a similar concept, which was a concept that we came up with in our previous conversations. Just a little bit of background history of like how do we do this. We always start with logo solutions in black and white. That is because they're more often than not, logos nowadays need to be able to function in one color. They need to be able to function at scales that really matter. And so we did that step first. We talked about symbolism. We talked about what kind of iconography we might want to include, what we wanted to stay away from. And ultimately, we decided that we wanted a solution that A, could shrink down to small sizes in a really important way that still felt unique to the village. So not just, shortening to a 1-letter form, but something that still felt like it had a lot of that heart behind the logo to begin with. So that was #1. We knew we didn't want to tie in any specific markers. We didn't want any specific buildings. We didn't want, the clock tower, the water tower, all some of that stuff. We knew we wanted it to be really set up for that long-term usage. So this one, I'm just going to jump ahead, because this here on the right-hand side kind of explains the logo and the icon and how we built it. So focus on the letter V. We felt like curving the letter forms there and allowing to build this new shape. It had this great sense of movement to it while also still being very clean and easy to use. The shield Shield icons and badge icons are something that are very typical in municipalities. There's pros behind that. They feel authoritarian, they feel trustworthy, and so we knew we wanted to play into that with the icon mark. And then we have this sun here. It says Sunset Link here, but we really feel like it ties into that bright horizons, and it creates this new graphic that functions really well as an icon. So this solution is what we refer to as a combination mark. So it's an icon paired with a type solution. And the type solution here is fairly simple. So Village of Vicksburg, this typeface it's been customized a little bit, but it's a sans serif typeface, which means it doesn't have its little feet on the edges that you see in a more traditional typeface. But it has a humanist quality to it. So it's a little bit geometric, but you notice it has these thicks and thins because we wanted something that still felt not super clean and typed out. We knew we wanted it to have a little bit of that hand-created character, that handcrafted feel to it. So here you can see it in color. So in this solution, we're showing it with the green and we're showing it with the orange. So you can see how those two things play together. We also worked on the idea of the capitalization, right? So this works with a Village of Vicksburg all cap solution. We felt like Vicksburg is a little bit longer of a title. A capitalized V and then a lowercase g, you get some funky things going on there when you try to space things. And working through some of those solutions, we felt like this created a mark that was easy to recognize in and of itself, even if you just had the word there. It fits nicely into a rectangle, and then it's super easy to read at small sizes while still having a bit of that recognizability to it. We've paired the tagline with it in an even simpler sans serif font, because again, just from a hierarchy perspective, we want Vicksburg to be that #1 thing, Village of Vicksburg, and then your icon paired with it. Am I talking at a good speed? Is everyone following me? Yeah, okay. All right. So here we just have a little bit of a breakdown from how the mark gets used. And so we do this with all of our logo solutions. We really want to think about how it's going to function when it's vertical, how it's going to function when it's horizontal, how it's going to function in a square, and what happens when it gets shrunk down to small sizes. Ultimately, nowadays, that sets you all up for the best success moving forward. So this version is shown without its tagline. And just in case there's any concerns about it, we will always save out all of these versions, right? So you'll have a vertical, a horizontal, a badge, and then we also provide a brand guidelines that shows how those things should be used and at what instances they would be used. Color also plays a factor here, so we have just a note that selected color will have usage rules for variations. This is just an example of how that can play out, right? So you might have this 2-color version, and then a 2-color green in terracotta, a 2-color green in dark green. Again, you've just got some visual decisions that there with the color that add a little bit of visual interest. It's 1 color, and then it's 1 color knocked out in white. Because ultimately, a lot of these is how this stuff will get used moving forward, so we just really want to be proactive and think through all of that. Then we start to just envision, okay, from here on out, now what will it look like? What is it going to look like applied? And these are all just mock-ups, and they're just done to start to really envision how your brand is going to start to play itself out. And there's minimal, we just did a few for both. So a 2-color embroidery on a hat, what does that look like when it's just the symbol? What is your new Instagram kind of is going to look like, or your social media? So you can see here we've got deep roots, bright horizons. We can use our tagline in our copywriting, but we can use our logo solution in a more simplified way here as our icon. And again, recognizability is really key. You want your residents and your visitors to really understand, oh, that's the Vicksburg logo, and start to see it on various things. large, small, one color. Those are just how we start to envision that moving forward. Okay, so that was option one. Option two, we knew that we wanted to explore the idea of a contained option in sort of that crest shape and take it outside of just containing the icon, which is what we've got here, and think about a solution that creates a structured badge-like form for the entire name. So it sort of takes that parts and pieces thing. It still utilizes a unique mark and shape that way, but it puts the whole thing in a little bit more of a container. And so here we basically got the Village of Vicksburg. This one doesn't have the tagline. We've brought in those idea of the horizon lines. We've put it inside of a shape. And this is kind of a funny one because, you know, shields in this way, or badge logos, this is just what this is called, they are actually pulled very far from the past. This is very common of how, you know, logos that used to be used back in the day when all logos were hand-drawn. But what's funny is that nowadays they've kind of had this resurgence and they feel very cool again. So in some ways, it's taking like this unique idea of something that's a little bit more trend forward, but pulls from the history, but cleans it up and makes it really easy to function. And that was ultimately our big goal here. So you'll notice the typeface used for Vicksburg in this option, a little bit thicker, very geometric. It's a monoline font, so it pretty much is like the same thickness all the way around the letters. And it carries that weight here inside the badge. So even though you've got these detailed elements like the borders or the sun shape at the top, ultimately we wanted to make sure that that Vicksburg was still the #1 hierarchy that way. So here you can see the version with the tagline in full color. So we've got the no tagline version, the tagline version, and then the badge version of this one, we've pulled out the VB for Vicksburg. We had a version that was just the V as well. Like that's something that I think, you know, we could start to consider if this was the solution, how we really think through all of that. But ultimately that allows you to have that same system when shrunk down to different sizes and make sure that it still feels like the same brand. So here you have the same kind of color variations between the two color solution. That's the bright paired with the green, the two color tone on tone, dark green, light green, the one color green, and the one color white. So even though they follow the same goals, readability, clean, easy to use, very good accessibility in terms of making sure you can understand it at all sizes and color variations, very different look and feel, while still focusing on knowing we wanted to do a sans serif, knowing we didn't want to tie too much iconography to it, but we wanted something that felt unique. And then we have the same mock-ups here shown. The second option always gets less talking because it's still a lot of the same points. But we've got the hat shown here. We've got the same rules applied to social, and then the flag and the car decal. So here you can see both logo options shown side by side. And then ultimately, really, I think the place I'll leave it, and then if anyone needs me to move back to any versions or answer questions, I'm happy to. But I think it's important to remember that like this is, it's that foundational element. So everything else being brought into here. So, you know, jumping all the way back to those photos and how these two options, either one of them would be paired with those or paired with all of those colors or an icon set tied to it. It's like, what does this look like when it's put on a flyer for something for Bird Days versus it put on a flyer for something for the farmer's market. And then really it allows us to kind of build that brand out and give you all of the building blocks. So that's where we have this sort of stair step method and all of these kind of parts and pieces. There's also two, you know, I talked about the photography, but I mentioned the icons. We also don't have additional typefaces included in here, and I just wanted to make a note about that, because I know that that's like a very important part for brands moving forward is, there's also additional typography that we will determine that work with these logos. So those are things like secondary accent fonts, and that's where we can also get a little bit, a little bit more playful, or make some decisions that way about how to really start to see like the marketing elements and the brand elements beyond just this foundational mark. So those would be sort of next steps, would be taking the feedback and understanding, okay, what does this look like for the entire package moving forward? So on that note, I'm going to take a sip of water, and then I'll turn it back over to Rob if there's anything he wants to add, and then we can kind of open the floor up for questions and discussion.
Thanks, Elise. No, that's really great. Hopefully that kind of at least explains the thought process and how we do this and what these elements mean in application. And from that, I'd like to turn it back to you all and discuss if you'd like.
Super. I think I'll have maybe President Frisbee, you coordinate if there's questions with the council, and due to Zoom, we'll take them one at a time, or you go ahead and lead that conversation, but we're looking for input from everyone. So.
Yeah, thank you both for putting that together for us. One of the questions I had on the color choice, what drove the terracotta component? Now, maybe I should preface this. What is your feelings about the color red within this type? Because as one view I'm looking at looks like the terracotta, I'm looking at another window, and it's a bright red. Are there any drawbacks to using the color red? I know in business I try to stay away from it.
Yeah, so I guess I will say, so one thing that we always do, next steps is we determine exact hex value, RGB, CMYK, and Pantone color systems that way, and we kind of tweak it, look at it on screen, look at it in print, etc. I would say it should not look red. It's actually like just a slightly, it really should feel like an orange, but a slightly, I use the word dirty, that's not the right word, but it has a little bit of black in it, right? A little bit of a darker orange. We definitely don't want it to be red. We don't want it to tie into the school colors at all. And so really, why orange? So orange pairs nicely with green. Those are just like two strong elements on the color wheel system. And then it added, I think, that touch of that vibrant pop of color we were looking for. I think that I will admit, we were a little bit on the fence of whether or not pairing it with such a strong color in the logo solution was something that everybody was going to feel good about. I think it was maybe one of the more like controversial decisions, which is dramatic, but that's why we also have this like two-color green on green solution here. But I think as far as like color specifically, is that orange is an extremely recognizable color. It tends to, it's one of the first colors that your eyes see, and that's why traffic.
Yeah, Elise, I think we set you up for failure too, because we have two TVs in the room, and the big screen TV you can't see.
Yeah.
The settings have to be off because it's much redder on that TV, but we've called up the other TV, it is orange, and YouTube.
Yeah, it definitely, so I think just to clarify, that's kind of the reasons why orange, but it ought to be orange and not red. So that's my one thing. Yeah.
So did we intentionally, was there any thought process with the school, or you had mentioned the red component of it. Was there a thought process with the school?
Well, I can answer that. We had a staff, our input was stay away from the school colors. We're not that government entity, we're separate. So I don't.
Yeah, no, that answered the question. It was just.
I'd like to piggyback Mr. Keller here said, sunsets are orange, and I think it's a great reason for tying in that as part of the color palette. I do like it. I might want to see maybe a bit more lighter or brighter oranges rather than like the rustier burnt, just to see as examples. I'm not sure how they function together. I'm not a design major, but I might like to see that as sort of an option. I'd also say that my preference definitely leans into the option B, just as my own personal design aesthetic, but I feel like the enclosed badging of it, to me, says a little bit more of like connected and inclusive, because it's surrounding our logo, right? It's encapsulating it. I also feel like it just might apply to more things better, especially when you've got more backgrounds or densely populated visual spaces. That helps to set a clear border around it. And I know a lot of what we have is going to be very type heavy. It's going to be very busy. It's going to be a lot of dialogue notes and, you know, things like that. But that's just my opinion so far on it.
Has any of the feedback that we gave when you first sent this out, has that gone to them?
I've sent every
Okay.
internal and external feedback that I received individually, and I just want to clarify that. I sent emails to each of you individually.
Yeah.
And you all sent me back individually responses. I immediately forwarded those to
Perfect.
Rob.
Okay.
So they have them all.
Okay, great. Because
I was just gonna clarify that
I'll clarify. I would not, just for the record, I did not share the feedback with Elise. So I can answer those questions, because I did read all of it.
Okay, because I think one of the biggest things that Jim told us when he sent it out was, we're not voting for these. This was strictly a feedback exercise. It wasn't to try not to vote.
Yeah, correct, because like tonight, we want to take all your input,
Right.
your thoughts, your ideas, then we're going to meet again internally
Perfect.
with the
Okay.
goal February 23rd, saying, hey, we've got all this input now, here's what we're recommending, and we're going to look for your motion support and vote, thumbs up, thumbs down on what we present the 23rd.
Okay, so then my question, let's start with the color palette. You mentioned that you did not want to veer away from the color that we have right now, and I understand what you're saying about a shock to systems and, you know, keeping some familiarity, but I don't know, I thought this branding exercise, you know, we're taking the time and spending the money to do this, so why wouldn't you make changes now?
Well, and Rob, you can add to this, but our conversation focused around mainly the amount of investment that went into like the park signage, this building's electric sign. So when you start adding those figures, if we're going to do comprehensive, so that's where in the discussions and based on Elise and Rob, and there were others on Rob's team, we kept the green, and then they went
To build up.
Yeah, from the
And that
entire
makes
top
sense,
standpoint,
yeah.
it was like, okay, we can keep that one, let's work with the green versus the black that's on those signages. So, and then Rob can add to that, I don't.
Yeah, I understand. I've been through branding exercises in my day job, and so I know the cost that's involved with changing signage and changing all the logos and everything, and I can see where that would be a concern. I just, like I said, if we were gonna do the exercise, why wouldn't we do the exercise with other options, I guess?
I can answer. I mean, I can answer on top of what Jim said. It was directional in conversations. So, you know, there was this is, if we move away from this is a very expensive endeavor to move away from. And so we took that feedback very seriously. As a part of the stewardship of resources, and so that's not to say, and I'm sorry I can't see you, but that's not to say that we couldn't. That was just that was a direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I'm with what some of the others said about the orange. Yeah, I see that green and orange, and I immediately envisioned this Sinclair oil sign. And the one logo even looked like it a little bit, so
Yeah.
that color combination, I don't know, when I first saw that, that was immediately where I went.
Okay.
So, same with on the other one, the Village of Vicksburg with the V thing, that's like the pathways, Vicksburg High School pathways V. So those two things just popped in. And I know that, you know.
I know they're taking notes, but I was right. You're saying the one on the left.
The one on the left is, yeah, that
But
V, that's the Vicksburg Pathways V.
Okay.
If you go to the Vicksburg High School Pathways logo. And then, yeah, the other one was kind of like Darn Tough Socks meets Sinclair Oil.
I do very much like the B, because to me it looks finished. The other one looks like, to me, like something else needs to be done to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem.
Things are separate.
Yeah,
They're
it
not
just
cohesive.
doesn't. So,
Just for our clarity, so we use the same vernacular, we'll call the one on the right the box logo version, and the other one not box. So Gail, you're talking about the box one
I
on the
am.
right. Okay.
I am,
I
because-
just
It looks
taking
more
notes.
cohesive, I know what you're saying.
yeah,
Kind of-
it's, I agree with Ryan in that it looks finished, it looks complete. And the other one, to me, looks like something's missing from it.
It's like, there's three separate elements. You've got that logo at the top, and then you've got Village of Vicksburg, and then you've got the tagline. And
Yeah.
they don't, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
The box one and B kind of pulls them all together.
Right.
Although I will say, I think that the typeface on option A is more modern looking than what's in B.
Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I looked at these, with the branding costs, I know Jim's alma mater just went through a branding change not long ago, and I heard nothing but complaints from the people that I call on at the university with how much it was costing for that. As far as color goes, I think maroon and gold would be awesome for the colors, but, fire up chips. But, you know, I'm looking at these, option B when I saw, which and you were correct, at least when you said, what's old is new again.
Yeah.
To me, I saw Grain Belt Beer when I saw that. I didn't see the Sinclair sign. And I'm not knocking it, I'm just saying it looked like a 1950s advertising sign to me. I'm almost old enough to know what that is, but almost. Option A, which is the more modern one, you know, I didn't necessarily have a big problem with it. Yes, it is kind of loose, but it allows you more options in apparel than what
Yes,
option,
I
what
agree.
the option B, which is the more traditional, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, now that you've explained your rationale behind option B, I understand it more. And the colors, yeah, it shows up red on this screen here. On the other screen, it's burnt orange, which is Texas Longhorn, but we won't go there. So I mean, I think they both have their own uses. I do think the A, in my opinion, has more options
Yes.
to be used, like the hat you shown. You know, you could just get by with just that badge, as opposed to if you use option B, you got to almost do the whole thing. You got to, so.
Yeah, I mean, combination logos, which is like what A is, they are essentially designed to be broken apart, if you will, you know, and there's some things we can do. I mean, this is all great feedback, and like, one of the things we can do is kind of show, okay, when it's all used together, is there anything with spacing decisions or utilizing like the one where they're not stacked so perfectly horizontally. But it's basically eventually to get you to the point where you could really use just the icon and it would be just as recognizable as spelling out Vicksburg. So it's just two different tactics, I think, that way. And there's pros and cons to both different types of logos that way, so.
Elise, if I could ask you to go to the page where it has that horizontal breakout of the option A.
Yep.
I think that was actually, to me, a really good demonstration of what you mean by that, like, compartmented or componented logo, because you get
Right.
that horizontal, like, landscape option that I feel like, honestly, for that style A, works the best to me, as far as that stacked kind of pyramiding style on the far left. The vertical is a lot more busy to me, and then the badge I don't really feel like fits as well there. But in the horizontal, I feel like that badge fits better because it's kind of matching in height, and it keeps that landscape tradition, or not tradition, but orientation. And then the badge on its own, I feel like stands alone. I'm still not really, I like the elements of what the badge brings, and I like what it stands for and represents. I'm just not really totally sold on the style. But something like that, general
This
size and
badge?
shape. Yes,
Just
yeah.
to clarify, okay, just making sure I got it.
Yeah, but that sort of style, that's like simplifying it to the V with some other key design components I do like, because as others have said, it is really versatile. But maybe just the specific design as it is now, I'm just not quite as sold on.
I agree. I like the horizontal presentation of A. The first thing I see when I see the badge, though, is a cup of coffee. That's what my eye sees. So I like the notion of a V, and this is 100% subjective, right? I mean, that's the thing with logos, and I completely get it.
Yeah, it gets there, so totally but
Right.
we're used to, so talk it out, right, yeah.
But as far as presentation goes, I like the notion of what a horizontal is. I would probably tweak the badge some. I'm not opposed to the sun, but again, in that presentation of it, it seems like foam on a cappuccino or something like this. That's exactly where my head went. But
I do
again,
like the
that's
idea.
subjective.
I like the idea of cappuccino better than the more authoritarian badge, though.
Right.
So,
I'm thinking
because I was a little,
Authoritative was the right word.
Those are my 2 cents, but honestly, I mean, as far as these things go, and I'm excited to have this conversation, it's important to have these conversations, but so many times we get lost in the weeds with this, so I love, let's have a good, strong dialogue, let's get feedback, and then let's decide and move on. And that's my 2 cents.
but one more thing I will say, when, on the page where you had all of the different municipality logos.
Yep. Let me go back to.
Buchanan's tagline hit me a lot better than
What do you think of B?
the others. I think
I
that
missed
the
that.
tagline for Buchanan, that to me, that life is better here, that feels like the kind of a tagline that you want for a community. That had more emotion to it, I thought, and was good. The Buchanan,
Life is better here.
the Buchanan tagline, life is better here. To me, that was the kind of tagline I guess I thought we were kind of, it seems more emotional, more welcoming, less business-y.
When you also say it's evocative.
Thank you.
That's my
Right.
5-cent word.
All right.
Word. There you go. That's awesome.
What word did he use?
Use that word?
Oh,
Evocative.
Evokes thoughts. Jessica, did you have any comments on the B?
The B, it was self-contained, it's clean.
Sorry, I never turn my mic on anymore. It's clean. I don't have any strong feeling really one way or the other. Logos, I don't get terribly passionate about, and I'll be really honest. I'm more interested in subject matter, the presentation of it, because this kind of thing is so subjective. I'm going to go with the majority of my council members. I could go with either. I don't like A in its presentation right now, the way that it's stacked. If everybody says they like B better, I'm game. What I am interested in is just pushing the process forward, whatever we want to do, and then move forward to get the whole website, the whole feel of this down the road faster, and whatever that takes. But I like B. I don't have anything against it. Terracotta is not my favorite color, but I'm going to lose out on that. So if that's where we're at, then so be it.
Yeah. Elise, if you could go to the page with the breakout on B, where it's got the badge as well.
Oh, yeah.
So in regards to this, because we're talking about our preferences or lack of preference on the badge for A, the badge for B says to me we can still keep the Berg, part of the Vicksburg identity, even inside of the badge by using the V and the B, which I know we've done a lot of strong branding and community building around, like Berg Days of Summer, the Iceberg Festival, and keeping the V and the B in a badge, I feel like helps to keep that continuity because it'll help keep Berg in the forefront of it. So just some thoughts or considerations on that for badging ideas. But for B as well, I like the sunburst in the top of it. I feel like it's not super busy. I do agree with others that it might be a little old-timey styled, but I really like the border and the encapsulation of it because we're talking about bringing community together and like being protective or inclusive of things. And to me, that just works well as a logo. Might not work as well on some apparel and things, and we might have scaling issues because there is a lot there as opposed to just a badge, but maybe we get a good badge option out of that also that has some continuity. So
Yeah.
Again, my wife is the design major, not me. So maybe I should have had her sit.
With the badge option on B,
Yep.
I see VB. I'm thinking. Sorry, and forgive me for being adolescent here. It looks like a superhero badge to me. So some like I for whatever reason I'm reading Superman or some Batman or whatever. So I like the idea of VB. No problem with that at all. I don't know if I don't know how to frame it better because I am not a design major either. But
Is
that
the shape
sorry.
that's bothering you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I like VB. That makes a lot of sense. But I want to make sure that people outside of Vicksburg know what in the world that means.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that, now I want to just dialogue this all out. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do think that the fact that Berg is so commonly used in the village vernacular allows you to just create that. I mean, some of this is just, it's over time, right? Like people know what the Nike swoosh is because of its usability by now. And that's just what happens with the new mark. And so I think being able to have DB is unique to you all too, which I think is just something that is worth leaning into, and just knowing that like that continuous usage of it will catch on and become easy to understand the more you commit. So this is my 2 cents there, which is why we picked DB instead of just the B.
Well, I find it quite interesting that there was 4 comments tonight about the logo and what it reminded them of. All 3 of them were different. The 4th one, in the non-boxed A version, that reminded me of the United Way logo. So we all 4 had different thoughts of what it brought to us, independently of that. But I will concur that encapsulating it and closing it, I think is easier to view, especially when you're on a web page or if you're on your mobile device, having it captured within the scale box, so to speak. The other part of it just seems to wash away. Yeah, on A, the words just wash out. But when it's captured within a border like that, I think that's better. I think I agree with Wendy. I think you made the comment about the font in A.
Yes.
Liking that font a little bit better in B, perhaps.
Okay, yeah.
And
And then, what are people's thoughts on the tagline?
I like it, but I could also see it workshopped. Because like Wendy was saying, like something maybe that's just a little bit more like human focused, like experience focused, a little more actionable. Because like that, you know, what was the Buchanan tagline?
Life is better here.
Life is better here. Like that's a very active tagline that makes me think positive and happy things when I hear it.
My first question is why?
Right.
Am I cynical?
Honestly,
Maybe.
it's the first 2 times I've thought of Buchanan ever in this room. I mean, I do like Deep Roots and Bright Horizons. I like the message that it's trying to come across with, but I agree that I feel like it could just be done a little bit differently, or a little bit more personally, a little bit more human, I guess, in it, rather less conceptual, more human.
Yeah, I definitely want the feedback, because this actually is a great conversation that we'll be able to use with Rob. And we'll give you a little background on that meaning. Deep Roots and Bright Horizons, we anchored into the strategic planning session. Not on those words, but on the connectivity to the history of the village in a positive sense. However, we're thrusting into the future. If you remember that conversation, the strategic plan. So that was kind of the mission thrown to Rob's team. Hey, this was important that came up in the strategic plan. See if you can connect those things.
Yeah.
So that, just to give the background on kind of their tasks they were provided. So.
I think that, I think it's indicative of who Vicksburg is, to my understanding, because I'm a transplant. If we want to play off of that notion, conveying the same kind of message, using some different phraseology, but the same type of idea, I think that makes a lot of sense, in my opinion.
I think that Jessica said it best early on, that this is subjective for all of us, and Tim said it with, we're all seeing different things in these logos. I did, when Jim first sent this out to us, I spent a few hours going through each piece, and I typed up my thoughts and I sent them back to Jim. So I will leave it with that. That covers my thoughts, and hopefully we can see some other things soon.
Is there any other comments or questions? The city of Buchanan, they don't have a trademark on that statement, do they? I like it. I mean, I like that statement.
It was very, it feels good.
I'll propose, life is even better here.
There.
But I see where the Deep Roots, Bright Horizons, it says it all about the community, to be honest. We're an old community that people and friendships, relationships mean an awful lot to us, but yet we're open to, developing and transitioning and making this place better for everybody involved.
We could use life in the burg is better.
I think, I'll throw this out there for everybody to react to. I would go to Buchanan and ask residents how they feel about that. Sometimes when you have that statement about yourself, and you claim that, it is something that people actually pick on you about, like, yeah, right.
Exactly. Sorry.
It's a very easy claim to make, and I think it's a little too easy to make. It's just that, I know it feels good, but I also think it's reflective of a place, and I'm not sure how ideas like that stick to residents very well.
Yeah, no, understood. And I appreciate that, Rob. You're absolutely right. What we feel is not necessarily, we don't want to have it turn into a joke or a punchline.
You definitely see that happen at times, and it's unfortunate because obviously as people are working through it, that's what you want. I mean, you're aspirationally thinking about it and what you want to be, but sometimes it's too simple and too easy to take pot shots at.
And people absolutely will.
Yes, they will.
They will no matter what, so use it, at least if you make it a little more challenging or it's a little more thoughtful, it's helpful.
Yeah, well, we can always go back to the clock tower.
Where's the clock at?
All right.
Well, I appreciate it.
Alex was a vision of the future.
Yeah, Robert, Lisa, thanks so much. Thanks for being and delivering this, and thanks for everything you're doing. I have one quick question about this. It's a random one. Will the web page be different on a mobile app versus our browser? Do you develop two different types of views?
Yeah, so we design mobile first. That is just how unless there's a reason not to, we always start mobile first. So we will design basically both versions, and so we pick key pages with your site because there's so many unique pages to it. Your key pages, there's quite a few of them, and so we'll design the mobile version, and then we'll design the desktop version, and we'll make sure that when we build them, they're very versatile. So they're responsive, which just basically means there is like click points that when browsers change, they start to shrink and function differently. A phone to a desktop are obviously very different, but a tablet sometimes has qualities of both, and then that's how we'll build the site. But ultimately, the way to think about it is on your mobile, often things like stack, and users are used to scrolling, and so the certain things will always be the same. Obviously, like your fonts, your colors, all of your content, etc. And then the difference is just the usability and usually the navigation.
Elise?
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Jim. We start on the mobile side, right? Because like 80% of usage now is on the mobile devices and higher, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right,
So we
I just
start
wanted to
mobile
demonstrate I
first.
listened to you and Rob in these internal conversations, so.
Correct. Yeah. Claps for you. Correct.
I have a quick question about the website. So you mentioned that there's some back-end work going on with that.
Yeah.
What kind of timetable are we looking at on that? Because I guess I thought that's kind of a big thing, and I guess I didn't realize that you guys, the timetable seems to have changed a little bit with all of this. So-
What happened is, Rob educated me that, look, we gotta answer this branding question first.
Right,
So there's a
and I
lot
get
of behind the scenes prep, as in what the state information requirement that Christian has supplied their team for this website. And then it's the practicality of this staff's limited availability with the issues of the past 2.5 months, not to Rob's team, more on us, that and some of these issues will be covered tonight, but was a delay on the website side, that falls to me, not to Rob's team. And then last month, we said we need to get this further feedback from the council. And just as you've said tonight, get this off our table, then full throttle ahead on this website. Now, I will turn it over to Rob to answer when a realistic timetable. We make a decision on the branding the 23rd, when we turn that switch on the website to go.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, we have been, just to answer that, we have been advancing forward on the things that we can do without the brand itself. I think a realistic timetable is late March into early April. As long as we keep tracking this logo and get this decision done, I think we can keep that intact.
Thanks for that update. And thank you both for being here. And no other questions, you certainly are welcome to drop off. Thanks, Mr. McCarty.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you.
We done?
We're just.
There's no public officials here tonight. So is it time for citizens' comments and agenda items? Any citizen wish to talk? If you step to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Can you make sure that button's on the,
Sure.
push it forward?
Forward.
Yeah.
All right. My name's David Taylor. My address is 15665 South 27th Street, but I also have property here in town. I was going to make a quick comment when you were talking about the different perceptions that people saw first when they saw the logo. When I saw the Deep Roots, Bright Horizons, which I like that badge, I immediately saw Deep Tree Roots. The V had like multiple stems going down in it. So to me, that was what I saw. So if you want, yeah. I just had a question for you, Jim, or for whoever handles it. The maintenance of W Avenue. Now that the village limits essentially are out to, they go out to Angels Crossing, correct?
But not the roadway.
Not the roadway,
The,
okay.
the village limits are on the south side of the roadway.
Okay. So I've just noticed, just in the last couple of weeks, W Avenue is just totally delaminating in front of Angels Crossing. And it is right in front of the high school too, which was redone not very long ago. So just wondered, since typically February is when the Kalamazoo County Road Commission is gearing up for their projects, has there been discussions with them about the condition of those two areas?
But in front of the high school would fall to us if it's on W Avenue. But I have contact with the road commission a week from this Thursday. So the 12th, I think, of February. But I will bring it to their attention. It's unfortunate winter that we've had with how cold it was, and in the actual road temperature thawing, we're seeing this all over. But specific to in front of the Angels Crossing entrance, that's actually not our roadway. Our roadway stops just what would be east of what's known as a sled hill.
Okay.
That's where our road jurisdiction ends.
Got it. So the area in front of the high school, even way before winter, I noticed this last summer, it was starting to, what I call delaminate, between the east parking lot and the digital sign. That short stretch in there, the road's coming apart. So just didn't know if there was anything
I
to be
do
done
know
with
that and Prairie are on schedule for a crack fill, but Jimmy Myers and I look at it. It's usually on the budget season, presented to the council the third Monday of April. The roads that we're putting forward, we're waiting for the road commission to do their bid letting, and then we try to jump on those coattails and go with the low bid and see if they'll honor that pricing in the village. So that's kind of behind the scenes what's going on, and then we'll wait to the full thaw to identify the roadway. But I certainly will bring it up on the 12th to the road commission people that I'm meeting with.
Okay. And do you have any paving in town planned for this coming year?
We're not. We will go through. We will have paving, but Jimmy and I will be literally driving the roads in April, and I look for his input on that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
So we have a general consent agenda in front of us. Everyone had an opportunity to review it. Takes regular council meeting minutes from January 26, warrant reports, no event requests, no correspondence. What's his council?
I move to approve as submit.
Support.
We do a roll call, please, Christian?
Trustee Cox,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. So we have some action items in front of us. Our first is 10A, Surf Air Wireless LLC right-of-way permit.
And this is the same as the last couple. It's just additional and specific to that 400 block of Pearl and 200 block of South Boulevard, but does require council approval and is actually something we can't deny, but. So we're highly recommending we get a motion, support, and approval.
So moved.
Support.
Can do a voice call or roll? We'll do, there's been motion to support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those approved, Surf Air Wireless passes. 10B, resolution, Sprinkle Road sanitary sewer projects.
This also is an administrative requirement by the USDA in preparation for a loan closing that's scheduled, I believe, on March 4th or 5th. And we need a specific resolution. Already the council has approved the amount of bonding contained in that. This is just so we can get this resolution, the clerk certified and sent to them, prepared for that closing. And this will be, since it's a resolution, a roll call vote.
So moved.
Support.
We have motion to support. Will you do a roll call, please, Christian?
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
Trustee Cox,
Yep.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. Item C is a full-time financial staff position. Deputy Treasurer, Deputy Clerk will report to the village clerk and ultimately Director of Finance. Let Jim speak to this.
Yeah, this, again, is kind of probably going to have more conversations, especially as we get in towards the budget and move the next 12 to 15 months. But we have an opportunity. We have had a part-time staff member that we put on a few months ago, about 28 hours a week, has a full accounting degree experience, and we've talked internally to when you find a good person, you don't want to lose them, but it also fills a need that clearly we needed before. I had the capacity to assist more than I currently do with these three utility and bonding, as well as this parking lot with these grants. So I think not only short term we have the immediate need, but long-term, this allows the village to have flexibility in a transitional period. So it's well within, it would be divided out amongst the funds the same as the village clerk and director of finance. Our plan is to meet weekly to begin the training, both on accounts payable and accounts receivable. Ultimately, it falls under the direction of the Director of Finance, but its immediate report would be to the village clerk, and highly recommend this.
I think we've all talked about succession planning, and, I know the HR team had a conversation about this recently as well, and in full support of it.
Trustee Wagner, I move to approve the request for full-time financial staff position reporting to the village clerk and director of finance.
Support.
We have motion to support. You do a roll call, please, Christian?
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
Trustee Cox,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes, motion carries. So 10D, downtown development, association business improvement grants, the DDA.
Yeah, and I will go back to this, but I should have brought it up on when we were approving the agenda. On the actual agenda, E should be Heather Turner before we get to E. We made that correction via email, but on that. So back to D, This was our public improvement grant process that we do each year through the Downtown Development Association. And we do not pay the money until the investments are made. A substantial investment was made at Vickers Lakeside Tavern. And all of these were unanimously approved by the Planning Commission / DDA with the recommendations for council support. So Vickers Lakeside Tavern, $15,000. Jasper's Pizza, related to their facade, $7,500. Zojo Beauty Building at 117 South Main, again, that's a facade project for $7,500. The difference is the first two have completed their projects, so we would be issuing checks this week for those grant awards. The third one is due to a contractor scheduling, is scheduled, but and the owner's very appreciative and understands it's after the job is completed and the bills paid in full that we receive before that check would be written. But we're asking for that pre-approval from the council, so then staff, as soon as those expectations and requirements are met, we can cut the check to them. So, but happy to answer any questions.
This has really been a benefit to the downtown, the changes that the DDA made, the Planning Commission made. You can see that there's been a lot of investments made in the downtown. It just keeps elevating itself, and this is part of the reason why.
Mr. President, I so move.
Trustee Wagner, I support. Oh, Gail's got it.
We have motion to support. You do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Cox.
Yes.
Trustee Fields.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. So for the Planning Commission and DDA, I've got a recommendation for a board position to fill, committee position to fill. And I got Pulp and Pup messed up last week, and I had Heather Turner's name right, so Jim beat me to it. So Heather Turner, she owns Something's Brewing in town, and of course she's not a resident, but she is a resident. I always thought she was just a business owner.
No, both.
Well, that's a double benefit. So I'm recommending that we appoint her to the Planning DDA Board position. I'm just looking for your support.
Trustee Wagner, I'll make that motion.
Support.
I'd also like to comment, Heather lives in my neighborhood, in the Centennial neighborhood. Her and her family have been there, I believe, even longer than I have. I think it's 15 years or so now. So, yeah, longtime resident, and they actually relocated their business from Kalamazoo to
Right,
Vicksburg. So, Heather's been really active in Vicksburg. I mean, I'm sure everyone's been in there as well to see them, but I think it's a great idea, and Heather's been a great member of the neighborhood, and definitely now as a business owner, bringing a lot to the village. So, happy to see her come on board.
Happy to see her staying. So we have motion to support. We do. All those in favor, if you'd please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Ms. Turner. Appreciate it. Look forward to your input.
F is related to both looking at the compensation for the new position that was, the full-time position that was created, is also got looking at the village clerk's compensation. I could go on to the additional responsibilities and what Christian has done in the last 6 months, but even looking across the board. So it's my request to receive support and approval to provide the village clerk with a $1.50 an hour raise. That's based on a 40-hour work week, not the 65 hours he puts in, so.
Trustee Fields, so moved.
Support.
We have motion to support. You do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Fields.
Yes.
Trustee Cox.
Yes.
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes.
Then the,
And then the perceptive water.
yes, this is a continuation of an agreement and just an, again, outstanding company, Mr. Williams, that we deal with on literally, Jimmy probably on a multi-time-a-week basis. But with doing these utility projects, to have them involved is very good. It stays at the $2,130, I believe, per month. It does have other variable rates that we have provided the council just in case of call-ins and those unforeseen times. But we're recommending to continue that working relationship with Perceptive.
Mr. President, so moved.
Support?
Would you do a roll call, please, Kristen?
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Fields.
Yes.
Trustee Cox.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes.
Jim, just in relation to the agreement, are we still in a process of exploring for an additional well for capacity? Just curious about like how it might impact, services and pricing going forward, or if we're even still in that mode.
No, yes, we are, yes is the short answer on that. I'll highlight more of that when I talk about angels.
So that takes us to Village Manager's report, Mr. Mallory.
No, I appreciate it, and I'll confess, I've reached my maximum IT capabilities here with Zoom, YouTube, and whatever else is buzzing close to us here. But we'll update the council on a couple areas, and basically, we had limited conversation and comments related to the assessment and tax rolls that we received from Schoolcraft Township. In the village of Vicksburg, officials initiated formal meetings with elected officials from Schoolcraft Township in late October and continued discussions throughout November and early December regarding significant concerns with Schoolcraft Township's assessment rolls as they relate to properties located in the village of Vicksburg. On December 15, 2025, Schoolcraft Township elected officials provided a written response to the village of Vicksburg. Within that correspondence, township officials acknowledged that, in quotes, egregious errors were made by a professional assessor previously retained by Schoolcraft Township, end the quotes. In response to the village's concerns that these errors had been identified many months prior to the village's inquiry, township officials further stated in quotes, "We recognize the importance of transparency and regret that this matter was not brought to your attention earlier," end the quotes. Following the receipt of this letter, the village of Vicksburg submitted a written response requesting a comprehensive, independent, third-party audit of Schoolcraft Township's assessing records and related communications for a period of 6 years. This is the same time frame during which township officials acknowledged assessment errors occurred. Schoolcraft Township subsequently provided materials to the village, which we had to FOIA. However, the information submitted is incomplete and does not constitute the full set of assessment records, historical documentation, or internal communications necessary to evaluate the scope, cause, and financial impact of the acknowledged errors. As a result, the village finds the township's response unacceptable and insufficient to restore confidence in the accuracy of the assessment rolls. Due to the township's position and failure to provide complete documentation, the village of Vicksburg will be filing formal paperwork with the Michigan State Tax Commission requesting an investigation for potential disciplinary action against Schoolcraft Township and/or its former assessor, covering a period of at least 6 years. The village is further requesting that the State Tax Commission conduct an independent audit of Schoolcraft Township's assessing practices for properties located within the village and/or the state assume the responsibilities for the assessing function and tax rolls for the village of Vicksburg. Upon completion of an independent outside audit, the village will be in a position to fully evaluate and consider all options available to us. What does this mean, or why is it important to our village? By the township officials' own written documentation, they have underassessed the village by millions of dollars. What this means specifically is general fund tax revenue to the village of Vicksburg. By their own admission, it is well into the 6 figures. Unfortunately, due to the lack of transparency and only judging the actions or lack thereof of the township supervisor by failing to communicate and failing to provide the necessary information to the village, we have been forced to ask the state to become involved. The village finds it deeply unfortunate that the Schoolcraft Township officials, specifically the township supervisor, did not notify the village at the time in what they've categorized were egregious errors that they discovered, despite the direct and material impact on village revenues and our ability to provide services to our nearly 4,100 residents, approximately 3,000 who reside and pay taxes to the township of Schoolcraft as well. We will keep the council updated as we proceed forward.
Thanks for that update. We had some other informational conversation we started last week.
Yes. Angels Crossing I was asked about, and I had a prepared probably 30 to 40 minute presentation. Internally, I'm going to take the advice of my most trusted advisor, knowing what tonight was with presentations up to this point. So I'm going to give a condensed version. The village of Vicksburg, we all know, purchased the golf course about 16 or 17 years ago. It was a bankrupt property, and we don't need to relive history too much, but the village acquired that property. And then subsequent to that, put the clubhouse in place. The historical documentation of all those events are lacking a few pieces to that puzzle. We do know in those early years that some movement of money from our water and sewer funds were moved over to cover the losses of the golf course. And we know through the auditing practices that the golf course just broke even in 15 and 16, and you heard from the auditors, we have the golf course in good shape, and revenues exceed expenses, but has put the village in a position of over $500,000 of upgrade to equipment and CIP purchases. In the last 2 years, we got 2 brand new greens mowers, 2 brand new T-box mowers, utility carts. We updated BEV carts. We've put in nearly $150,000 of new asphalt cart paths. We made a significant investment to the 7th hole with the conditions on that hole, the course is doing well. In 2022, we received communication from a group that was represented by a broker of interest into purchasing the golf course. At that time, when we looked into it, we would not have the ability to sell the course, lease it, rent it, due to the bond that we have involving the bond rules that we have. We need to own the course for at least 10 years of that 20-year bond. That time frame was October of 2023. Internally, I'm talking just staff, the golf course was on the proper track, and also we felt that to continue that would only add and enhance the value of the course by updating, and in reflection, if we went back, and that's part of the, maybe in the future, a greater presentation, were those specific purchases in 23, 24, and 25, or investments, I should say, that we made into the course. We have received inquiries of the course in this calendar year. And I think, I guess the essence, and I think maybe time's better spent with questions you might have, but it would be my recommendation that the course is in the position that a responsible thing, and the course is via deed owned with the municipal building authority, which we do have in place. So basically, you might remember the vacant lot out at the industrial park was on the deed, was a board, and we went through that board. That board gave a recommendation to council on the sale of that property. That it would be our recommendation that you would give the approval for myself to work with the municipal building authority to see the viability and interest in the golf course in the private sector, and many advantages to that. I did make the comment during the exploration of municipal water well, there would be, from the staff's perspective, two musts, well, probably more, but certainly two requirements really to move forward, that within that deed, the village would retain eternal rights to the water of placing a municipal well. Water is a commodity that you can predict in the next 100 years will be incredibly valuable, and we would want that in the deed. We would, of course, want the course, it's zoned to be that, but we'd want it to continue to operate and provide that recreational opportunity and that draw for people outside the 49097 area code to come to Vicksburg. It's the #1 draw in our area each year, and then we highlight the village. Also, there's a liquor license that's established out there. In my initial conversations with both legal advisors who have experience selling golf courses, it's not something that's going to be done in 45 days. There's a process on a liquor license, but certainly we can start this process to see if there's interest out there. We have the opportunity to even put out a request for proposals and contact the group that contacted us in 2022 and in two groups most recently, and see what interest lies out there. We would, and I need to emphasize before social media takes off and all of that, We have a number of people that are members and paid for their golf memberships at Angels Crossing in 2026 and other commitments. Those aren't changing. This golf course is going to operate this year, and their memberships, additional memberships, our investment into the course, and we're a couple meetings from even talking about additional investment will continue forward. So just trying to get out ahead of social media and the diners and bars and barbershops that this is a process. So with that said, I think I made it in about 11 minutes. But I'll be happy to answer any questions. But my recommendation would be a motion in support in a yay or nay vote to have the village manager work with the municipal building authority and explore this option with the course.
President Frisbee, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the village manager in conjunction with the municipal building authority to explore the viability of potential sale of the Angels Crossing Golf Course.
Support?
You have any further discussion, or?
I'd like to say that the golf course is a great asset for the village. Like Jim said, and like we've said almost every year since I've been involved on audits and financial health, is that it's a moneymaker now for the village. It's self-sustaining. We're able to invest in it. It's attractive. It's in great condition. But at the same time, it's, a golf course. It's a liability. It's a business operation. It's an enterprise fund within the village. So it's self-contained for those expenses and things. I think we should at least consider ourselves, do we want to stay in the business of running a golf course? Do we not? Is it in our best interest or in our citizens' best interest? And is there a value to be had there if we are able to sell it that could benefit financially the village and retain that recreational opportunity, even though we don't directly own it, possibly? So I think it's something to consider, and I think it's something that could be a great benefit.
Well, this is something that's kind of led to this, where we're at today. I've asked Jim over a period of time to get an assessment of the value of the golf course, a property assessment. Now we're looking at a real property assessment, which includes all the ancillary stuff, the golf carts, the mowers, the greens, all the extra equipment, just not the property itself. And as Jim said, over a period of time, we've had people inquire about it. It's to the point now where multiple people have asked. We can put an RFP out there and do it right in the public eye. There's no backdoor agreements going on. We can name all of our requirements, i.e. full water rights for a water well, that stays a golf course in perpetuity. We can put that in the RFP as well. There are things we control it, so that's just my thoughts and comments on it.
Talk doesn't cost anything.
Drew, roll call or voice?
No, I'm just, really quickly, I'm interested in the notion of selling IB, if we put that out, doing it exactly how you discussed, in the public eye, RFP, the most competitive, and make this an attractive offer. And also to consider for the village, who do we want to partner with? We get to choose who we want to partner with upon the or whoever acquires that, if that acquisition happens. And that's a conversation that I'd like to have further.
Yep. Well, we've got motion and support. Being no further conversation, do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Cox.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. It takes us to our event planning.
Yeah, that was another error. That's my fault but the Iceberg Festival is Saturday, February 28th from 12 noon to 5 o'clock. Ton of activities. Mike Moore's leading that effort. with the leadership of a committee he's put together of local business owners. Great activities will occur, and on February 23rd, he'll give the council an update on where they are, and that'll be within 5 days. Happy to report already 30 tickets plus have been sold, so you'll see it continue to be highlighted within our communication to the public, as well as those Berg Buck programs. We still have a healthy balance there that we can match, and people can get that matching money to then spend with our retail people downtown or anywhere in the village that are participating. The Pulp and Press Lit Arts Festival, which I don't want to go out on a limb, but I will. I think this is going to be a lot more impactful to the village than some people might think on first, but will be April 24th and 25th. Kim Mayer is leading a great group of individuals. There's going to be involvement on the 24th with the schools, and then it's just amazing on the 25th how many different areas of downtown village and village resources are being used to get people again to travel and transcend through our downtown to see what it has to offer. So. And then we move, both bands are secured. We're holding off announcements, but I think they will be very, very, very well received. Both opening band and the headline band for the Berg's half birthday celebration, which is May 16th, 2026. And that will be a Saturday. And then, of course, we'll update everyone, but we'll be moving into the Car Festival as well as the 2026 Berg Days of Summer. So looking forward to it. I do have one thing to add. We next Monday for the Planning Commission, and Chad isn't here tonight, but that's the public hearing for the updated zoning ordinances of the village. So the public hearing will be at the Planning Commission. Last opportunity for input, change of where that draft is right now. And then the busy night of February 23rd will be the presentation to the council for your approval of what those zoning updates are on the 23rd. So you're aware I have asked the village attorney to do a comprehensive review of what's proposed, and then she will make sure everything's up to speed legal and that. So hopefully that will be completed before next Monday. Some of it certainly will, if not all of it, but by the time it's on February 23rd, it will have our attorney's blessing as well.
Yeah, and I'm just curious with that breakdown, because it's certainly, it's not an easy thing to rezone, but the discussion of the nuance behind what are the direct ramifications of a rezone? How is that going to impact, residents or property owners to commercial or whatnot? So people just understand exactly the why behind the what.
Yeah, and the essence of that is, and we'll go more in depth, but it's to clean up a lot of the historical written. It might counter, some ordinances might not be as clean as other ordinances and people, so it'll be completely up to date in today's terminology, make sure it doesn't conflict within itself. Sure. And it's not exciting work at all, but actually the Planning Commission has put in a lot of input into this. It's also tied to that $42,000 grant we received from the state. So that's who's paying that. That's the financing behind that component, as well as the housing study. 10,000 of that 42 is going to be used for the housing study that got approved by the state. But yeah. Some reason, I'll conclude with this, we're trying to get all these plans done by December 31st. All of them.
Is that a big date?
Is there something going on that day?
No, I just have all governmental plans will be updated. There'll be an RFP put out the 24th. They'll update the DDA master plan as well.
Thanks, Jim. I don't think there was any other committee updates other than CATS. It was real quick, staff and technical committee, they're reviewing their goals and objectives for the coming year. They came through their audit with shining colors. They have a different fiscal date than we do. Their fiscal year ended September 30. So that's why it was all presented this past week. And the sewer, Schoolcraft, Village of Schoolcraft is working on a bond for lead pipe remediation. And their sewer bond project is wrapping up. It'll be wrapped up the end of this month, and I think they took out about $1 million to upgrade some of their control logics, which is called a SCADA system that reports back the health and condition of their equipment back to a general server. And they reported from the Great Lakes Sewer and Water Authority that they're seeing a 40% lower service charges and fees due to their SCADA system. So that was it from the sewer.
I do have a brief fire.
A brief fire update.
Very brief. As of end of last week, the new website for the South County Fire Authority is up and operational. It is South Kalamazoo County Fire Authority, so it'd be skcfa.com. So I think the old one was .org, because I tried it last week and it automatically said it was not no page. But you go to the .com and it goes right to it, so it's fully operational, either your phone or your desktop. So just let everybody know.
Thanks for that. Takes us to citizens' comments. Any citizen has a comment they'd like to speak on any item? Seeing none, trustees' time. I'll start with Trustee Cox.
I think I stated everything I wanted to during the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Wagner.
Quick question for you, Jim. It just popped into my head as you were going through your update. Do we have any updates or progress changes on our redevelopment ready processes that we've been going through? I don't know if there's been any more milestones we've cleared or anything like that. Just curious.
Well, the milestones we cleared were, I think, 4 or 5 months ago. Our rep went on an extended leave, and so that's about where we are.
That's it for me.
Trustee Fields.
Nothing.
Trustee Reeser.
Nothing here.
President Pro Tem Keller.
I'm good.
I'll make it quick. I just want to thank the DDA, the Planning Commission, because as Jim said, what they're going to bring to us in the coming meetings, they've spent a lot of time making sure that this is right and what we're proposing and the changes that are being made are copacetic with what we want to see the village become. So thank you to them. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Thank you.